Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching the new Incredibles movie, Incredibles 2. Now, as a boy who grew up with the first Incredibles movie, I can tell you right now that the original was a masterpiece in almost every sense of the word. The comedy, the action, the drama, the themes that it went over, it's absolutely wonderful. So I was wondering for a while if Brad Bird ever was going to do a sequel. And 14 years later, that's exactly what we got. In some ways, it's a film that reminds everyone of what made the first film such a big hit, while simultaneously adding new stuff where it counts, but I wish some other new stuff was added too. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story takes place right after the first film, right after the Underminer attacks, and after that incident, Helen, Bob, and Frozone have to go to a meeting with this guy named Winston Dever, played by Bob Odenkirk, the guy from Better Call Saul, who gives them an opportunity to make supers legal again by going through a program with them. Only Elastigirl is chosen as the person to represent the superheroes as an advocate, whereas Bob has to stay at home and take care of Violet, Dash, and Jack, who has his own set of amazing powers himself. To go through any more of the plot would spoil everything, so I'll just stop there. What works about the film? Well, a lot of the things that worked out with the first film work out here. The action is some of the best I've seen from Pixar. It's flashy, it's inventive, it makes use of the animation completely. It makes for some of the best looking superhero action to date. Almost Infinity War-like, if you will. I'm not going to spoil when that comes into play, but let's just say there's some unexpected stuff that goes down. Also, the comedy is very well done here. There are some repeated jokes from the first film, but there are plenty of new ones. Some of which have been spoiled by the trailer, but others that have not. So don't worry, you'll get a good laugh in. And the drama. It's very relatable as well, only it seems like this film is very much Elastigirl's film, whereas the first film felt more like Mr. Incredible's movie. Don't worry, the other members of the family still have stuff to do, but it seems like the priorities have been dedicated to Helen instead of Bob this time around in some areas. Except for, of course, the climax. But then again, that was the case with the first film only, just replace Helen with Bob. However, there are some things that do not work about this film. One of them being the villain, Screenslaver. I'm not going to spoil anything about him or anything involved with what goes on with the character, but let's just say the reveal for who Screenslaver is a little disappointing. And honestly, I saw it coming a mile away when I heard certain lines. Some kids might not be able to get it, but experienced filmgoers like me, especially ones who have seen the first film, will know. And even though it's been 14 years for us, for the characters it's been a few weeks or a month. So you'll probably be scratching your head saying they fall for these same tricks again. If it's been such a short time for them, why don't they wise up? But I can overlook that for everything that the film does well, and the film does a lot well. I love the new characters they introduced. Winston Dever is a very egotistical, not egotistical, but he's a very childlike but also charming businessman. He's got a sister named Evelyn who has her own quirks to her. There's a ton of new supers that are added in, but unfortunately not a lot of them get a lot of screen time or development, except maybe Void, this girl who can create interdimensional portals. The others get screen time too, but they only get a couple of lines, and I feel like they're just there to spice up a few of the action scenes near the end. And Frozone and Rick Dicker come back, but they only get a little bit of screen time. But to fit so many characters in, both old and new, and then just to have it still last about as long as the first film is a tough task, and I think Pixar for the most part did it well. I just hope if we ever get an Incredibles 3, which I definitely hope we do, if that ever comes around, I just hope, things get a little more consolidated and we get a truly perfect Incredibles film. But perfect's asking for a lot, and we got a lot here. So I gave The Incredibles 2 a 9 out of 10. Not as good as the first, but still a very worthwhile sequel. See you next time.